Picture this. An 18-year-old sits in their room at midnight, staring at a college application essay that needs to be perfect. Their phone buzzes with notifications from classmates posting about their latest achievements. Their parents just asked about their scholastic aptitude test scores for the third time today. And tomorrow, they have to pretend everything is fine while competing with friends who seem to effortlessly excel at everything. If this sounds familiar, you're witnessing one of the most dangerous epidemics facing young people today. Welcome to today's deep dive into understanding and addressing the intense pressure young people face to excel in every area of their lives. This isn't just about academic stress. We're talking about a generation that feels they must be perfect students, perfect athletes, perfect friends, and perfect social media personalities all at once. The statistics are alarming. Teen anxiety has increased by 25% in the last decade. Suicide rates among young people have risen dramatically. And behind these numbers are real kids who feel like they're drowning in expectations they can never meet. But here's what's crucial to understand. This pressure isn't just coming from parents or schools. It's a complex web of social media comparison, college competition, economic uncertainty, and a culture that has somehow convinced young people that anything less than extraordinary is failure. Today, we're going to explore the psychology behind this pressure, understand why it's so harmful to developing brains, bust some dangerous myths about youth achievement, and most importantly, provide practical strategies that parents, teachers, and young people themselves can use to create healthier relationships with success and failure. Whether you're a parent watching your child struggle, an educator seeing this in your classroom, or a young person feeling this pressure yourself, this video will give you tools to break free from the perfectionism trap and build genuine resilience. Let's begin by understanding what's really happening in the minds of young people under pressure. To understand why pressure affects young people so intensely, we need to look at what's happening in their developing brains. The teenage brain doesn't fully mature until around age 25, and the last areas to develop are those responsible for emotional regulation, decision-making, and perspective-taking. This means that when a teenager faces pressure to excel, their brain processes it very differently than an adult would. The emotional center of their brain, the amygdala, is fully developed and highly reactive, while the prefrontal cortex that would help them put things in perspective is still under construction. From a psychological standpoint, this creates what we call emotional amplification. A bad grade doesn't just feel disappointing to a teenager. It can feel catastrophic. Not making the varsity team isn't just a setback. It can feel like evidence that they're worthless. This isn't teenage drama or oversensitivity, it's neurobiology. The pressure to excel triggers the brain's threat detection system. When young people feel they must be perfect to be worthy of love, acceptance, or future success, their brains interpret any failure as a genuine threat to their survival. This activates chronic stress responses that are harmful to both mental and physical health. Social comparison plays a massive role in this process. During adolescence, peer acceptance becomes neurologically prioritized. The same brain circuits that activate when we experience physical pain light up when teenagers feel socially rejected or inadequate compared to their peers. The concept of future self also creates unique pressure for young people. Adults can draw on years of experience to know that one failure doesn't define their entire future. But teenagers are still developing this long-term perspective. To them, not getting into their dream college feels like their entire life trajectory is ruined. Consider Emma, a high school junior who had maintained a 4 GPA since freshman year. When she received her first B.Due in AP Chemistry, she experienced what she described as complete panic. She couldn't sleep for days, convinced that this one grade would destroy her chances of getting into medical school and becoming a doctor like she'd always planned. Emma's reaction wasn't unusual or dramatic. It was a predictable response from a developing brain that had learned to equate academic performance with personal worth. Her identity had become so tied to being the perfect student that any crack in that facade felt like her entire sense of self was crumbling. This is what psychologists call conditional self-worth, the belief that your value as a person depends on meeting certain external standards. For young people under pressure to excel, their self-worth becomes contingent on constant achievement, creating a psychological prison where they can never rest or feel satisfied with their efforts. The pressure to excel in every area creates what researchers call achievement burden, a state where the pursuit of success becomes more harmful than beneficial. The costs of this pressure extend far beyond temporary stress, affecting young people's mental health, relationships, and even their ability to achieve genuine success. Sleep deprivation is one of the most immediate consequences. Young people trying to excel academically, athletically, and socially often sacrifice sleep to meet all their commitments. But sleep is crucial for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and academic performance. The irony is that in trying to achieve more, they actually impair their ability to perform well. The mental health impacts are severe and well documented. Perfectionist tendencies in teenagers are strongly linked to anxiety disorders, depression, and eating disorders. When your worth depends on constant achievement, any perceived failure triggers intense shame and self-criticism. Perhaps most tragically, the pressure to excel often kills the natural curiosity and love of learning that young people possess. When everything becomes about grades, scores, and college admissions, learning transforms from an exciting exploration into a series of hoops to jump through. Students stop asking what interests me and start asking what will look good on my application. Relationships suffer significantly under achievement pressure. Friendships can become competitive rather than supportive. Family relationships become strained as conversations center around performance and achievements rather than connection and understanding. Some young people withdraw from social activities entirely, convinced they don't have time for non-productive activities like hanging out with friends. The physical health consequences are also serious. Chronic stress from achievement pressure leads to headaches, stomach problems, and weakened immune systems in young people. Some develop stress-related conditions like anxiety-induced insomnia or panic attacks, triggered by academic situations. There's also a phenomenon called achievement paralysis, where the fear of not being perfect prevents young people from trying new things or taking healthy risks. They stick to activities they know they can excel at rather than exploring new interests that might challenge them or result in initial failure. Take the example of Marcus, a talented musician who had been playing piano since age 5. By high school, he was accomplished enough to compete in national competitions. But the pressure to maintain his status as the music prodigy became so intense that he stopped enjoying playing. He quit music entirely during his senior year, telling his parents he couldn't handle the stress of constantly having to prove his talent. Marcus's story illustrates how pressure to excel can actually destroy the very talents and passions it's meant to develop. When achievement becomes more important than enjoyment, young people lose touch with their authentic interests and motivations. The long-term consequences extend into adulthood. Young people who grow up under intense pressure to excel often struggle with imposter syndrome, chronic anxiety about performance, and difficulty finding satisfaction in their achievements. They may succeed externally while feeling empty internally, always waiting for the next achievement to prove their worth. Before we explore solutions, let's address some persistent myths about youth achievement that fuel the pressure to excel. These misconceptions often drive well-meaning adults to create environments that harm rather than help young people. Myth 1. High achievers are naturally resilient and don't need emotional support. Many adults assume that young people who excel academically or in other areas are naturally equipped to handle pressure and stress. This assumption leads to these high achievers being overlooked when mental health support is distributed. Research shows the opposite is often true. High-achieving students frequently struggle with perfectionism, anxiety, and fear of failure. They may be skilled at hiding their struggles because they've learned that their worth depends on appearing competent and in control. These students often need more emotional support, not less. Myth 2. Pressure and stress motivate young people to perform better. While some stress can enhance performance, chronic pressure typically impairs it. The relationship between stress and performance follows what psychologists call the inverted U curve. A little stress can be motivating, but too much stress actually decreases performance and learning. For developing brains, chronic pressure interferes with memory consolidation, creative thinking, and problem-solving abilities. Young people under constant pressure often perform worse than their actual capabilities would suggest, not better. Myth 3. If we don't push young people hard, they'll become lazy and unmotivated. This myth assumes that motivation is either external pressure or laziness, with no middle ground. In reality, humans have natural drives toward competence, autonomy, and connection. When these intrinsic motivations are supported, young people often achieve more than when driven by external pressure. Research on self-determination theory shows that intrinsically motivated individuals are more creative, persistent, and satisfied with their achievements than those driven primarily by external rewards or pressure. Now, let's explore concrete strategies that parents, educators, and young people themselves can use to create healthier relationships with achievement and success. These approaches are based on research in positive psychology, resilience training, and adolescent development. Strategy 1. Redefine success and excellence. The first step is expanding our definition of success beyond grades, scores, and external achievements. True excellence includes qualities like curiosity, persistence, kindness, creativity, and the ability to learn from failure. Encourage young people to set process goals rather than just outcome goals. Instead of "I want to get an A in this class," encourage "I want to understand this subject deeply and improve my study skills." Process goals give young people more control over their success and reduce anxiety about factors outside their influence. Create family or classroom conversations about different types of intelligence and success. Discuss examples of people who found success through various paths, including those who faced early failures or setbacks. Strategy 2. Practice failure reframing. Teaching young people to reframe failure as learning is crucial for reducing achievement pressure. This isn't about pretending failure doesn't hurt or matter, but about changing how we interpret and respond to setbacks. Introduce the concept of productive failure, the idea that struggling with challenging problems, even when you don't solve them correctly, enhances learning more than easy success. When young people understand that their brains actually grow stronger from struggling, they can approach challenges with less fear. Create safe spaces for discussing failures and mistakes. Share your own stories of failure and what you learned from them. When young people see adults modeling healthy responses to setbacks, they learn that failure is a normal part of growth, rather than evidence of inadequacy. Strategy 3. Build identity beyond achievement. Help young people develop identities that extend beyond their achievements. Encourage them to explore questions like, who am I when I'm not performing or achieving, and what do I value beyond success? Promote activities and conversations that focus on character, relationships, and personal growth rather than just accomplishments. Celebrate moments of kindness, creative expression, honest effort, and personal insight alongside traditional achievements. Encourage young people to develop multiple areas of interest and competence. This creates what psychologists call identity diversification, having several sources of self-worth rather than putting all their identity eggs in one achievement basket. True resilience isn't about being tough enough to handle any amount of pressure. It's about developing the skills and mindset to navigate challenges while maintaining mental health and authentic motivation. Building this kind of resilience in young people requires a different approach than traditional toughening up methods. First one is developing growth mindset. Help young people understand that abilities can be developed through effort and strategy. When they believe that intelligence, talent, and skills can grow, they're more likely to embrace challenges and learn from setbacks, rather than avoiding situations where they might not excel immediately. This includes teaching them about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and pathways throughout life. When young people understand that their brains are constantly changing and growing, they can approach learning with curiosity rather than fear. Second one is building emotional intelligence. Young people under achievement pressure often learn to suppress or ignore their emotions in favor of performance. Teaching emotional intelligence helps them recognize, understand, and manage their feelings in healthy ways. This includes helping them identify early signs of stress and overwhelm, teaching them healthy ways to express difficult emotions, and showing them how to use their emotions as information rather than letting emotions control their behavior. As we conclude today's exploration of helping young people overcome the pressure to excel, remember that this isn't about lowering standards or accepting mediocrity. It's about creating conditions where young people can achieve their genuine potential without sacrificing their mental health, relationships, or sense of self. The most successful and fulfilled adults are those who learned early that their worth isn't dependent on constant achievement. They're people who can take healthy risks, bounce back from failures, maintain meaningful relationships, and find satisfaction in both effort and outcomes. Your role, whether as a parent, educator, or young person yourself, is to create environments where growth matters more than grades, where character development is valued alongside achievement, and where young people can explore their interests and abilities without fear of not being perfect. Start with one small change. Maybe it's changing how you respond to a young person's grades, creating a pressure-free conversation space, or teaching a simple stress management technique. Small shifts in how we approach youth achievement can create profound changes in young people's lives. Remember, we're not just raising successful students or athletes. We're raising future adults who will need to navigate an uncertain world with confidence, resilience, and the ability to find meaning and satisfaction in their lives. The goal isn't to eliminate all pressure or challenge from young people's lives. It's to help them develop the internal resources to handle life's inevitable pressures while maintaining their mental health, relationships, and authentic sense of self. Thank you for joining me in this important conversation. Together, we can help young people thrive rather than just survive the pressure to excel.